Hello, 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 hello. So glad that you joined us today. This is Splash, and I'm Charlie Newton. I'll be your teaching artist today. Well, today we're going to do something that I think is going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be exciting. We're going to go on a little adventure. I hope that you can go with me. We're actually going to do painting in watercolors. I want you to get your ink pens out if you have an ink pen and get your watercolors out. Um, we're going to do some free association art. So I'm going to draw, but I don't know what I'm going to draw. It's going to be like doodling. It's, it's so powerful to doodle. So when we doodle, or when we just do some free association drawing, we're using our right brain thinking, we're using our creative sides, and we are expressing ourselves honestly without intention. We have no preconceived ideas, emotions, intentions, and so whatever comes out, hopefully, is going to express ourselves honestly. Then after we do the drawing, and I said ink pen, but I think I'll draw it in pencil. Most of you have pencils. You could do it in ink or pencil. Um, I think I'll do it in pencil this time, and then maybe I'll do another one in ink. And then we're going to paint in watercolors. Nothing is preconceived, so I don't know what it's going to be, except I know it's going to be art. If you're ready, let's get started. So we're going to be working in watercolors, but this time we're using some watercolor paper. This paper is a 9 by 12 and 140-pound paper, so it can take quite a bit of water. Remember, watercolors must look like water. And the reason why I decided to go ahead and do this first one in pencil is so that we can do what's called traditional watercolors. I'm using some easy release tape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape down all of the borders. Uh, so we're doing basically, we're approaching this from a traditional point of view. So I'm just going to stretch this tape on the top. I just want to hold the sides down, the edges down. And what happens is, and I'm measuring the edges before I break the tape, what's happening is, I'm not doing this to create a border, even though it will create a border. I'm doing this to stretch the paper so that the paper won't warp too much. The paper is going to buckle some, but I don't want it to buckle too much. So this is done by taping the edges of the paper down, and the paper will stretch. We're going to, maybe, I don't know, soon we're just going to start all over teaching drawing and watercolor, but this is sort of like what we've been teaching for the last few months. This is a continuation. So uh, soon we're going to start over. But when we first start to talk about watercolors, usually we'll take the paper down like this, and then we'll do a wash. And the wash would be just all over uh, wet the paper all over before drawing. But I'm not going to do it this time. So I've been thinking, so I'm going to start talking so that I can't think about what I'm doing that much. And I look around and I get ideas. Everything I see I can draw, I want to draw. So I'm just talking. I'm just trying to make something that seems familiar to me. something that makes sense. I'm using my hash marks. I'm using all of my drawing acumen, all of my drawing techniques. But I'm just thinking, not much. I'm just making a design. And so, if I start thinking about a face, which I did start to think about a face because the last time I did a free association drawing, when we was looking at doodling last week, a face appeared, and so that came to my mind. So now I'm going to allow a face to appear because I'm a figure drawer. I draw figures all the time. And when I say figures, I'm talking about people all the time. And so I could actually allow an emotion to creep in if I wanted to. I was thinking today, before we started this program, I was thinking how I really, most of my work is not decorative. And I sort of wish I could do a lot of decorative work because I could probably sell more. So most of my work has meaning, and I think it's because of my experience in this country and in my life. I don't think every artist have to do work that have meaning. It just that I'm not able to do much work that don't have meaning. So this is going to be closest I get to doing work that don't have a specific objective, except to celebrate now, since I don't hardly ever do anything that don't have meaning, another idea just came. Where do ideas come from? I don't know. Well, I think my ideas are inspired. But how that operates and how that works, I'm not sure. But I know they come. So I think it was last night or night before last. Well, even today I played my conga drums. So now my conga drums have appeared. I still want this to be free association, sort of. So what I'm doing is, as ideas come to me, uh, I'm putting them in. So it's not exactly free. It's free association, but it's not doodling. So I'm allowing my subconscious mind to take over. And I had no idea what I was going to be drawing before I started. And that's the point. You're going to get some of your best work this way. So I was playing my congas earlier today, so that's probably why they have appeared. Now, what I need to do, what I want to do, is once you start to let images appear, then all of a sudden your art becomes literal. But I'm not trying to tell a certain story, a preconceived story. I had no preconceived notions or ideas. So it's probably time for me to start painting. And I'm going to try to paint in a similar fashion. So I want you to draw. I'm going to spray this lightly. And I'm using hairspray that doesn't have oil in it. Spray it lightly so that the pencil don't smudge too quickly. And I'll show you the paints that I'll be using. I'll be using these watercolors here. Actually, these are similar. These colors are similar. You can tell the difference in the orange here. So I have three types of orange. I have this orange, which is sort of a burnt orange. Then I have a regular orange. And then I have a sort of like a magenta orange, which is next to the magenta. This is kind of like a this is burnt orange, more like a cadmium orange. Cadmium red, cadmium orange. This red is darker than that. And this red here is brighter, much brighter. We have a magenta here. It's sort of like a magenta, day glow, magenta red. So I'll be using these, and I'm going to use these paper plates as palettes. I think I'm going to start with a round brush. So I'm wanting a large round brush. Now, this is a new brush. What you want to do when you get a new brush, you want to shake it off in the water and sort of clean the brush. Because sometimes the brush has a little bit of wax on it to help keep it straight before you use it. So I have some new brushes that I'm going to shake off. And kind of rub the brush, kind of rub it. And you see, it'll feel like the brush will get soft when you do that. If you're going to have yellow anywhere in your picture, I suggest you use yellow first. Now my yellow has some green in it, so I'm going to clean it. So you can get a paper towel. I dip my paper towel in the water. I'm going to just try to clean this. I have some more paints that's very dirty. These are paints that kids used, and they didn't clean. So you can clean it. Trying to get the original colors. Now, if you are still drawing, that's okay. If you finish your drawing, I'm probably not even going to use this paint. I just want to give you time to catch up if you're painting along with me. Your drawing don't have to look like mine. It has to look like yours. I suggest that you start with a light color as always. The lightest color that you're going to use, start with that. And my lightest color is going to be yellow. Try to keep your hands off the paper. So everywhere where I think yellow may work, I'm just going to start putting in the yellow. I'm thinking in abstract terms now. Of course, you need a paper towel. To clean your brush with. Your paper towel anywhere? Thank you. I have to behind the camera as usual, and I wish you could see what she's doing. So, now I have this work. All of her works are free association, aren't they? She don't know what she's doing most of the time. All jokes aside,
It's an adventure.
this is the best way
It's an adventure, right?
to make your art. Yes, it's an invention. This is the best way. Now, when you practice drawing, you can draw a face without looking at one. You can imagine the face if you want to. You can imagine a conga drum. You can imagine hands. Yeah, just because you've been practicing. You, it all comes from practice. That's all it is, practice. Now I'm going to get a smaller round brush like this because I want to paint smaller areas. I want more control. And this second color that I'm going to choose is going to be so important. I'm using my subconscious mind, and my subconscious mind said purple and it also said blue. But since blue is not quite as dark as purple, I think I'll start with some blue. And all of my colors, I'm putting them in a wash. So you start with a wash. You can always make the color darker. It's more difficult to make the color lighter. I don't want to use too many colors. Now when painting with watercolors, you need to determine whether you want whether and where you want your paints to pool. You may not want them to pool. You want the paint to look like it flows. So my paint is pooling here. Do I want it? it don't matter, but I'm gonna show you what to do. Just pay attention to what the paint is doing. I'm not using any dry brush technique at this stage, not yet. I'm trying to decide where I might want blue. Now I think I'll go to the purple. Well, I want some blue elsewhere. How do you know where to put the blue? You have to use your instincts. So again, I'm looking at this as an abstract painting right now, in abstract terms. It doesn't really matter that much. It matters a little bit what I'm painting. And it matters a little bit how I choose my colors, but not a whole lot. Now I'm getting some purple. And this is going to matter because I know this person's going to be a black person. So the shadows are going to be purple. A mixture of red and blue that you get in brown. I think I'm just discussing that made me it gave me the idea of using orange. Now, I have some purple over here, so I need to balance it on this side of the picture. I'm using traditional thinking here. Just traditional, straight ahead watercolor painting. Some things you need to wait to decide on. Don't decide everything at once. So now what I could do is change my water, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get a different brush for the orange. And orange is a very warm color. So it's going to be pretty important where I place the orange. I just know it's hot. It's a hot color. So wherever I place the orange, that area is going to heat up. And what I mean is it's going to attract your eye really fast to that area. Orange is one of my favorite colors. I love using orange with purple. If I use purple, usually I'm going to come back with some orange. Sometimes the orange is going to be applied very thinly, sometimes not so thin. Now what I'm going to do, I think I may blow dry this. My instincts tell me to blow dry. And I have no idea where the blow dryer is. So, oh, I know where it is now. I see it. So my studios sort of, I hate to use the word junky, but my excuse is I don't have time to clean up my studio a lot. It's rare for me to have time because that means I have to stop working in order to clean things up. Sometimes I have to. I did clean up my other studio, my other space last week, somewhat. And I clean up when I have to clean in order to, like if I have to clear a table, so that I can put a large canvas on it or something like that. Now, most of my paintings are large, so it takes a whole lot of my energy to make a painting. And when I go into the studio in the morning, I don't want to just go in the studio and start cleaning. I want to get started on my ideas as quick as possible. So consequently, I end up, not cleaning the studio. So what other color can I use? Do I still want some more purple somewhere? I think so. I think I want I think I want to use purple to darken some areas. So instead of painting with black, I'm painting with purple. Now this is something you have to watch. I don't know if you can see this, but can you see how the hairs are standing away from the point of the brush? I'm going to try to bring the hairs together by twisting the brush and pressing, and that worked. But if it didn't work, then for what I want to paint, I would have needed to just choose a different brush. So remember, you have control over everything that's happening, whether you know it or not. You are the one with the control. So anywhere where I might decide to put black, I'm using purple instead. And maybe that will keep the painting lively. Maybe, and maybe it won't. But see, the painting right now in my mind, even though this was free association, the painting has now revealed itself to me. It's also very important to know what to paint and what not to paint. Do you notice that the drawing, I'm still using my drawing? you can go over dry areas and create overlays. Going back with the blue. Go back with some blue. Some of the detail. For small areas, I'm using a small brush. For larger areas, I'm using a large brush. So when I paint with blue over the yellow, it turns green. When I paint with the blue over the orange, it turns brown, so forth and so on. Or murky. I'm actually going to use some brown paint. And this may be a good time to do that. So I'm putting on a thin brown wash, allowing the yellow to show through. Brown, wherever the brown happens to touch the purple and turn dark brown, that's fine. So I'm trying to let or allow the watercolors to just flow. So I actually don't change my water that much for watercolors. And there's some colors that I could use, trying to decide about. I could use green, and that's going to give it a real ethnic feel, and I could use red. Well, so let's work with green first. So you can see where I paint the green over the orange, it sort of changes the look of the green. Green makes me think of the earth. So when I use that word ethnic, I'm also thinking about earthy. I'm thinking about connections to the earth. Think about a conga drum. It's made out of wood and skin. So the head of the drum is made of animal skin. Of course, the construction, the drum itself, its use is going to be wood these days. Of course, they may use fiberglass, but traditionally, think wood. To be the thing. I'm still using my drawing, because what the drawing does, it gives me more options. And the more I use my drawing, I think the better this piece is going to be. Because the drawing was totally free association. And so it sort of gets to the truth of the matter. The free association. All right. And I'm going to do more, maybe, I don't know. I would like to do more of this, more free association. Matter of fact, it is my goal to do more of this. So the things I'm doing now is making me really, it's taking this to a different place now, where now I can really see what colors are needed. And that's just because I've started to focus on the drawing even more. And now I'm just drawing with my paintbrush. using a liner brush now. I'm about to get some blue with my liner brush. When I was drawing in here, I just knew this, okay, this, we need some blue. Blue would look nice there. The liner brush makes a nice thin line, nice quick line. It's long hair. Traditionally, it's used for lettering. It's watercolors, so remember, you can thin the paint with water. So that you know what I'm doing here is I'm dipping my brush into the yellow, but I want the yellow to be very thick. See how watery that is right there? I'm going to I took some paint off my brush. I want it to be very thick. So if I make a line over a darker color, you can see it. Doing overlays. I think I'll get a color, a surprise. A surprise color. Magenta. I think I'll get a magenta as a surprise. It may work, it may not work. I don't know, but let's see. get a magenta and I'll end up getting a red too. But I want to see if I can, sometimes you can use some surprises to sort of make the picture sing. Kandinsky thought about music when he invented, to me, he's the one who invented abstract painting. And he said it was very emotional and psychological and all that. But he thought that, and I do as well, think that painting has a lot in common with music. Actually, I think all the arts have something in common. I like to paint figures, so I like looking at dance, because dance, you see the human figure in all of its glory. Sports, you see the same thing. You see what the human body can do. So I see a relationship between all of the arts. So yes, it's making it sing, no doubt. No doubt about it. Now I would like a really nice blue right here. I'm getting close to finishing. See if I can find a different type of blue, or if I need a different type of blue. I don't know. Maybe not. See, where do I want the blue? Was it here? Yeah. And here. So you hear me say watercolor is actually drawing, it's not painting. And so what I'm actually doing right now is drawing. I'm going to finish this picture off. I'm going to stand up in just a minute to back off from the picture a little bit. I'm in real danger of overdoing it, overworking the picture. I don't want to overwork it. So sometimes you have to just stand back from the picture, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand back from it. Sometimes you can squint your eyes. That helps you gain some distance. This picture is basically finished. I see a little something I can do. I could just keep painting and keep painting, but I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to get an electric orange. Again, I'm looking for those surprises. Now, what might make this picture really stand out? With that? With those marks? Maybe. See how electric that orange is? Go back and get some regular orange for that area. Okay, I think this is going to do it. So, what I've attempted to show you and to demonstrate to you, and I want to point out some things on this picture here before we go. To pay attention to with your art. Number one, pay attention. I'll use a brush to point these things out. Number one, pay attention to your drawing. So we started with pencils, a pencil, then we sprayed it. We did a free association drawing, sort of like doodling. So we started off as a doodle, and what I did was I just broke up this rectangle into forms and shapes, and all of a sudden I had an idea, and the shape of this face was my idea. It wasn't the face, it was just this shape here. And I had remember my last free association or doodling drawing that I did, there was a face with this shape in it. It just appeared, and I liked it. I liked that, and so I decided to use it. And when you're doing free association, you're using your subconscious brain, but it's your subconscious is picking up memories, and things that was pleasing to you in the past may become a part of it. I see a problem, as the more I look at this, I see an issue that it's not a huge issue, but I need to fix it. And I think doing something like that. That didn't fix it. That actually made it worse, but I have my blotter, and I think that may help it. Let me continue to talk though, so as I fix this issue a little bit. So I decided to put in this face here. I want this painting to look like it painted itself. So I don't want a lot of detail. So, and I started using the color yellow, and I placed yellow everywhere that I thought I might need it. And I didn't think about orange until later, but I could have started using orange secondly. As I developed the face, I think my experience with my conga drum earlier today, I was playing just a little bit on my conga drum, seeing if I can get a technique. I am not a musician by any stretch of the imagination, but just for fun, I was beating on my conga drums. So I said, hey, let me put my drum in there. Let me put this drum in here. And then all of a sudden it becomes sort of thematic. And for me personally, it becomes more earthy because we have a human being, we have animal skin, and we have wood that comes from a tree. So there's a connection that I get from the conga drums, which originated, of course, in Africa, then it went over to South America, and the rest of the world, Europe, and the rest of the world. So I allowed that to come in. I have a figure that you can barely tell what that is, but it's like a dove that happened to be there. So I'm looking at my free association. I have some other figures in here that I decided to leave. If I was painting this, I probably would put those in. And then it became an abstract picture. I needed to forget about what this is, that this is a figure, this is a drum, these are hands. I needed to forget about that and start placing colors where I think they may work and try to balance them out. So I'm not just placing colors inside of shapes, I'm also overlaying colors. So you can use your hair dryer to dry the watercolors, or you can just let it dry naturally. But you can go back over it. When you go back over colors, if you go back over in a thin color, like a wash, say if I go back over yellow with blue, of course it's going to turn green like it did here. If I go over yellow with light red, I didn't do that, but it's going to turn orange. So the colors show from underneath. The only thing that's left to do with this picture is to put my initials on it. I think I will over here. And if you are a splash student, put your name and your age. I would like to see it at some point. So I don't even have a title for this, but this is free association drawing and painting, free association art using watercolors. I used a pencil and watercolor paints, and it's finished. So the painting told me, the art itself told me what it wanted to be. So this is what it is. What do you think? Once again, that's going to do it for another class. I'm thankful that you could join me today. I hope that you got something from this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you painted along with me. So if you notice that in these classes like this, you can draw whatever you want to, paint whatever you want to. And I think you learn so much from painting your own styles and your own stories and telling your own story. This has been Charlie Newton from Splash. And remember, as always, art is for everyone. Bye-bye.